In 1992, developed countries committed to leading global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In 2010, they committed to implementing quantified economy-wide emission reduction targets for 2020 under the Cancun Agreement. As we are in the year 2020, it gives us great pleasure to introduce you to the new compilation and synthesis report on the progress made by developed countries. A famous Chinese proverb says that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If the temperature limits of the Paris Agreement represent the end point of the 1,000-mile journey, then the latest report on developed country climate actions clearly shows that the journey is underway. Developed countries are working towards their 2020 targets, and many of them expect to reach them with a high degree of confidence. However, some countries must make a greater effort. Between 1990 and 2018, greenhouse gas emissions of developed countries decreased by 13%. For many developed countries, data shows a decoupling of emissions from economic growth. This trend is an important step, but greater ambition is urgently needed now for our collective journey towards the Paris Agreement's goals. Developed countries are expanding their climate actions focused on the Paris Agreement and long-term low-carbon goals. The key policies and measures used include increasing the share of renewable energy in total power generation, phasing out coal, and electrifying road transport. Most developed countries successfully use carbon pricing in the form of taxes and carbon trading systems. Carbon pricing provides a price signal across economic sectors to promote climate action. Climate finance continues to increase. This shows a continued commitment to supporting the global transition to a low-emission and climate-resilient future. Average annual financial support to developing countries increased to $48.7 billion in 2017 to 2018. On a comparable basis, this represents an increase of nearly 10% over the previous biennium. Support for technology development and transfer and capacity building activities increased significantly in 2017 to 2018. This has helped developing countries act on climate change. The report also shows that transparency of action and support has improved both quality of reporting and supported domestic policy making. Well-functioning systems for measurement reporting and verification will help with reporting under the enhanced transparency framework of the Paris Agreement. These trends are very welcomed as they show that developed countries are making progress in the 1,000-mile journey. While developed countries are taking action to combat climate change, there is an urgent need to raise ambition. Emissions have been rising globally and will continue to do so, despite the drop in emissions in 2020 owing to COVID-19. The current global emissions pathway would likely result in an increase of global average temperature of 3 degrees Celsius or more. This would be significantly higher than the Paris Agreement's temperature limits of well below 2 degrees Celsius and as close to 1.5 degrees Celsius as possible. We need to stay within these limits to successfully complete our 1,000-mile journey. This means that we need to urgently raise our ambition. This latest report clearly shows that consistently implementing climate change policies and actions at the national level can steadily increase ambition. Developed and developing countries can help each other take more and more ambitious steps towards the Paris Agreement's aims. This will mark the culmination of the 1,000-mile journey to a safer world.